Hey, what's up guys? My name is Slcmof and I'm back again with another video, and in this one we're going to be talking about Batman the Killing Joke animated movie, which we know is coming out in a few weeks on digital HD, but you can also have a way to see the movie early, and that is actually in theaters via fandom events. Now, initially I saw the list, they had it announced ahead of time, and that, this is where you can be able to see the movie, and it would be like Boston and New York and things like that, like big cities, and you could go to this main theater that's a massive theater and see it there. But due to popular demand, they actually expanded upon the release, and initially, their initial list, there was not even a theater, I believe, in North Carolina, which is where I live, and if there was, actually there was, I do remember, and it was in, Charlotte and Durham, which I don't live there, I don't live in a city that big. So, I do live in a moderately sized city, though, and then I looked upon, there was actually a press release, and I was informed that they had expanded upon this list, and indeed there was my local theater, in fact, which I would not expect to get something like this, just had it, and then I started looking, and there was, dozens and dozens of theaters throughout North Carolina that actually had the Killing Joke animated movie premiering in theaters. So I do just want to let you all know about that, because if you want to see the Killing Joke animated movie early, this is what I'll be doing. I'll be buying a ticket. For me, it was like $13, so it's kind of expensive, especially for a movie that's an hour and a half long. But I do believe that there are some special features in there in the theater, like a special note, I believe, from the director, and I think there's going to be Mark Hamill might have a prelude to it, or, like a forefront, and of course, Kevin Conroy's there as well, so maybe he'll be in there. I know for sure that there are some special features exclusively to the movie in theaters, so I'm definitely going to do that. And honestly, one of the big reasons that I want to do this as well is kind of in a boycott or opposition to digital HD. Now, for those of you unaware, digital HD is something that kind of all companies, it's not just WB, so don't get the wrong idea, but they've all been doing it. And essentially the plan is that you release the movie early on digital HD and on Blu-ray later. So everybody that has a Blu-ray player is going to want to see it on Blu-ray because it looks better that way, and that's what everybody wants. And a lot of us still want physical copies of movies. But what WB, and not just WB, as I said, like everybody's doing. Disney did it with Star Wars The Force Awakens, Paramount, they all do it, literally all of them. And they released the movie early on digital HD. Why did they do this? Well, for two reasons. One, they know that fans like us that are really hardcore fans are going to want to get the movie on Blu-ray, have a physical copy of it, but also we're going to want to see the movie whenever we can see it. So I believe for Batman The Killing Joke, it comes out on July 26th digital, and then something like August 2nd. But with Batman v Super on Blu-ray, it comes out on August 2nd, so that's quite a bit later. So if you're a fan, if this theater thing didn't exist, what I would have to do to review the movie, and I also own it on Blu-ray, which I want to do, I would have to buy the movie twice. And that's really the intent of it, at least the way I see it. Now, some people would say that it's more so a means by which to get us to shift to digital, and to get the audience shifted to digital and buy it on digital so they don't have to buy it on Blu-ray, but that's not the way that I see it. And also, it's definitely a means to save money, because of course Blu-ray, you have to print the disc, you have to print all the special features on another disc, and then you got to include the DVD, and then include the digital, and you have to put it in a box and ship it to all these places, and that costs money. But digital HD, if you pay $20, they're getting, whatever cut it. I mean, they got to share the cut with Xbox or whoever you're buying it from. But there's no cost to that. There's no distributing cost. There's no printing cost. So they're making a lot more profit by digital HD, and that's one of the reasons as well they want us to shift there. So there's something to be said that they're doing it not necessarily to make us to want to buy the movie twice, but more so to shift the audience tendencies or the viewer tendencies to digital as opposed to physical. But it's all in the means of them making more money and saving money, right? And I don't like that. I like getting it on physical copy. I like having the Blu-ray in my hands. So because of that, really, I'm glad that it's going to be in theaters so I can watch it on the 25th, and then I can wait a week to see it. But I certainly wouldn't want to wait an additional 5 or 6 days after everybody's already seen it just to get it on Blu-ray. So that works out quite well for me. I don't think that was their intent. They would have preferred that we buy it on digital HD for $20 or whatever it is. But I just never like that. They do it with the other Batman animated movies as well, like Batman Bad Blood. They've done it with Batman v Superman for 3 weeks. 3 freaking weeks to make us wait for the Blu-ray. And again, I just don't want to buy the movie twice, and I certainly do want the Blu-ray. I want to actually put something in my Xbox or my PS4 and just watch the Blu-ray of it. So that's something to keep in mind as well, that you can avoid buying digital HD if you can just wait a few extra days to buy it on Blu-ray. That's my personal rant, I guess, about that. I really don't like early digital release. I think it's so stupid. Okay, so enough about that business stuff. Let's actually talk about Batman the Killing Joke animated movie. And what I'm looking forward to the most from the film itself is actually the Batgirl prologue, the new stuff of the movie. And for those of you unaware, there is going to be a 10 to 15 minute Batgirl prologue of the film. The film's going to open up with Batgirl. You're following Batgirl by herself, taking care of crime in Gotham and that kind of thing. And I'm really looking forward to that because it actually does address the greatest weakness of the original graphic novel published in 1988 by Alan Moore. Now, Alan Moore and Brian Bullard and everybody else that worked on it, I don't believe that they were intent upon this graphic novel becoming as popular as it was. It was certainly what we'd call an event graphic novel. You know, it would be a big deal for the time. Everybody would know about it. But in 1988, Barbara Gordon, she was at the forefront of, maybe not the DC brand, but she was at the forefront of the Bat family brand. She was in the Batman books. Everybody knew who Barbara Gordon was, and she was more important to the DC brand in 1988 than she is now, okay? So it's hard for audiences to relate, and I can always just imagine somebody looking up online, Googling, top 5 best Batman graphic novels. What Batman graphic novel should I read if I can only read one? And they'll see on the top of every list, number 1 is going to be The Killing Joke, right? So this casual audience member is going to buy the, Batman The Killing Joke. They're going to read it, and they're immediately going to be confused by the story, not from a narrative perspective, it's quite coherent. They're going to be confused by the emotional investment because they're going to have no emotional investment in Barbara Gordon. Why do I care about this girl that just got shot? When literally the first page you're introduced to her, and then the second page she gets shot. Why do I care about her? Because it's within a 2-page span I'm introduced to her. I don't have an affinity for this character yet. I don't care about her. And that again is a problem that the graphic novel struggles to stand the test of time in that way, because every reader of DC Comics at the time knew who Barbara Gordon was, and she was more important than she is now to the DC brand. So as a result, the book it doesn't need to introduce Barbara Gordon. Everybody knew who she was, and they did not expect, I don't think anyway, the book to become as popular as it did. So that's probably the greatest weakness of the graphic novel, is that it doesn't introduce Barbara Gordon. It doesn't make it clear to new fans as to who she is and why you should care about her. And if you don't understand Barbara Gordon's importance to Batman, then the third act of the book, it falters, because the core of it is Batman's kind of emotional psyche and state after Jim Gordon is going through this roller coaster kind of thing, and Barbara Gordon has just been shot. And if you don't understand how important she and he are to Batman, then you're missing a big part of it, right? And just as people that I imagine many of you have played the Arkham games, of course, and if you've not even played or if you've not even read The Killing Joke, then you know who Barbara Gordon is, and you're at that point already a step ahead. So that's one of the biggest faults of the graphic novel in terms of standing the test of time. Again, not at the time it was an issue, but today it maybe would be. So that's something that the film is going to address, and I cannot wait to see that. Other than that, I think the two biggest scenes that I'm interested to see how they address is the scene where she gets shot, and they're just kind of in Jim Gordon's house, and that whole scene, I'm interested to see how that plays out. And or not how it plays out, of course we know how it plays out, but how they animate it. I always thought that would be kind of a challenge, even though the film is R, and they've gone for a hard R, which I really like and appreciate about that. And then the second scene that I'm interested to see, from particularly in terms of an animation standpoint, is going to be the ending, and how they make the ending, and how do they make it ambiguous, because it is intentionally ambiguous. And, of course, in that The Killing Joke is canon, and it was made canon by DC Comics, Batman doesn't kill the Joker, right? But Alan Moore specifically stated that he was actually intent upon, or not necessarily intent upon, but it was kind of written in a way ambiguous, but also leading to the way that Batman kills him, because of course the laughing just suddenly stops. Now, Batman can knock people out. It doesn't mean he killed him, and even then, if you kind of cut somebody's air off, they'll go unconscious. But that doesn't mean you suffocated them to death per se. So Batman definitely doesn't kill the Joker. That's kind of ridiculous, that I find that it's still a debate. But then again, that's just kind of my opinions on Batman killing. But again, the book is canon to the DC universe, so of course he doesn't kill him, because if it were canon, then the Joker would be dead today in the comics. But then again, comics and continuity that don't go together very well, so who knows what actually happened. But the point is, how do you make that ambiguous in animation? Because it's easy in a comic book, right? You can just draw 3 or 4 scenes and snapshots. You can manipulate the action. You can manipulate the event in such a way that you can depict it in the way that you want. But in animation, you have to show every second of it. You have to show everything. And how do you sell the audience that we really don't know if Batman killed the Joker or not? And maybe they'll indeed actually change it. And that might be scary for them to do. That might be a little bit of an undertaking. They may be fearful of the rehash from fans. But that might be something that they do. They might actually change the ending and clearly showed you that the Joker is indeed dead, or he is indeed not. And I think that would be pretty remarkable and would get a good gasp out of the audience. And again, people would complain about that, so they got to be careful if they decide to do that. Okay, anyway, guys, hope you'll have enjoyed the video. That's my thoughts on the Killing Joke animated movie. Check the link in the description below, and if you guys want to check out the Killing Joke animated movie, then you certainly can do so. I'll have that link. And also just go to Fandango. Just go to Fandango, search the Killing Joke in theaters close to you, then you can just check that out and see if you want to go check it out. That's what I'll be doing personally, and then I'll be getting the Blu-ray on July 2nd. So anyway, guys, hope you'll have enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up, and we'll see you in the next one.